Hello, everyone. Thank you so much for joining us for another episode of Trending Vegas. I'm your host, Melissa Duran. I'm joined today by Jace Radke from our communications office and also local social media influencer, Marlene Mercado, also known as Mars Mindset. Thanks so much for joining us.
Thank you for having me.
So I love when I have social media influencers on that I follow, and she is one of my favorites. So talk to me a little bit about how you got involved with social media. You have over 50,000 followers on Instagram.
So full-time mom, full-time employee. So I got on Instagram because I started, and let's be clear, I was very much a hypocrite. I would see all these people modeling. I'm like, oh, who's your modeling agency? Instagram, right? Like everybody else.
Yeah.
But then I started realizing that they were making money just for doing ads and different things. I'm all, wait, hold on. You mean that I could be a full-time mom, work full-time, have my money flow coming in, and do this little side hustle by simply posing for photos or representing things that I believe in? Sign me up. And also, sorry about the judgment. So really, that's what happened.
Okay. Well, this is why I love her Instagram, because she's just so honest. So what do you love about social media, aside from the extra money, the extra income? What about the interaction? Because you're very inspirational on your page.
So that's the biggest thing, right? Is every day, I just kind of ask God to help things not be about me, but to truly use me as a vessel to just inspire people. I've been through a lot myself, and I base it on my own emotions. Like if I'm having a hard day, I can't be the only one, right? So then I'll find something and I'll put it out there, and I get a lot of great feedback. So that's the main thing I love about it, is just the connection.
Yeah, I think that is so true, because when you see a lot of social media influencers, and that's what they say, what you see on social media is not necessarily the truth. But every now and then you do come across a gem like Mars Mindset, where it's like, wow, she's having a bad day, or oh, wow, she's struggling today. And you feel connected. So I applaud you for that. What do you not like about social media?
I think that it can, exactly what I love about it, I think it could do the opposite, right? It gives people a false, maybe, reality of what people are going through, and then they're hard on themselves, they judge themselves. So that's why I try to promote live you, do you, nobody can duplicate you. But I think it can be a tool to really put someone in a depression if not focused the right way or without the right support group, is what I feel like.
Absolutely. Very good advice. All right, well, we're glad you're joining us today. Thanks for being here. All right, guys, well, we're going to start with the topic closest to home, and that's the resignation of Las Vegas Raiders coach Jon Gruden, I should say former Las Vegas head coach. Emails were found that showed he said some horrible things about specific groups, including people of color, women, gay men, etc. Here are a few of the tweets surrounding the unveiling of these events and the aftermath. First, from the New York Times, Jon Gruden resigned as the coach of the Las Vegas Raiders on Monday. He had denounced the emergence of women as referees, the drafting of a gay player, and the tolerance of players protesting during the national anthem, a review of his emails showed. Then there is this from the Raiders Twitter, a quote from Gruden: "I have resigned as head coach of the Las Vegas Raiders. I love the Raiders and do not want to be a distraction. Thank you to all the players, coaches, staff, and fans of Raider Nation. I'm sorry, I never meant to hurt anyone." Again from Jon Gruden. Then this: "I don't believe many or any are defending what he said, but it's hard to justify the idea that something you said in private should mean you are never allowed to work again, which is what this is. He wasn't the coach then." Finally this: "I'm literally crying right now. I'm so sad that you're leaving. I hate how sensitive this world has become, and I hate that this is happening." You guys, there is so much to dissect with what's going on. So they did this huge review of tens of thousands of emails. Jon Gruden comes out as saying these horrible things, and he did. What he said, I think we can all agree, what he said was horrendous. But then the conversation I see turns on Twitter. Well, he said it a long time ago. It was a private conversation. How are you punishing something for somebody said 10 years ago? And the list goes on and on. So, Jace, we haven't heard from you. Let's start with you. What are you seeing?
I mean, just so much on social, like you said. I mean, there's so many, pieces of this. It came out from actually an investigation they're doing on the Washington football team, and these emails were leaked. So I've seen a lot of people on Twitter, asking questions like, wait a second, there was thousands and thousands of emails in this investigation. This was a one-way thing, like him and this one guy, those are the only emails that came out. So I think some Raider fans, Raider fans have always had a bit of a underdog complex because, they're the silver and black, they're the bad guys of the NFL, and there's history of the NFL and Al Davis, the former owner, the current owner's father, there was lawsuits, all kinds of issues in the past. So some people on social are taking it that direction. And then, you have this issue of some of these remarks were 10 years ago, like you're saying. And, I don't know Jon Gruden, but I do know people can change. And so that question has come up on social too. It's like, yes, these were horrible things. You don't get a pass for what you've said. And certainly we always tell people, be careful before you hit send on something, whether it's on social or in an email. But at the same time, 10 years ago, perhaps his thoughts have changed on those things in 10 years. We may never know.
Right. Marlene?
So I think the challenge with that is being raised from my father, who's more so that generation, right? I mean, I can't tell you the words that would be mortifying today that I grew up with.
Right.
And when people use certain slurs, it was more of expressing a weakness or a softness. It wasn't the literal of what we take it today, and I'm definitely not making an excuse. I just think, man, how many times do you hear people say, when I was a teenager, thank God we didn't have social media. Imagine what your view of me would be now. And I'm not the same person I was 2 years ago.
Right.
So it's hard.
It is hard. I will say this, though. The things that were said in those emails, they weren't sugar-coated. I mean, there was nothing sugar-coated about them. They were blatant words used. And to me, I've never written, even in my mad, angry emails, I have never typed those words out ever. It's never come even in my mind to type them out. So my thought process is he typed them out, and not only did he type them out, he sent it, and then someone received it. So whoever's on the other end of that, did he think that they were going to be comfortable receiving that? And maybe so, right? Because this is the first time we've ever heard of it. Yeah. So what kind of culture is going on? And I think that, you have a generation of coaches that are an older generation of coaches that do come from, it's okay, look the other way. And now we're starting to see a new generation of coaches come in that understand that this is not okay. Right. And I think that that's what's happening. This is my opinion. I think we're going to see a transition in the NFL and other professional sports where you're going to just start to see the younger generation come in and say, not okay, you're out.
Well, the world always changes. What's socially acceptable changes, through the decades, through the years. And, I've obviously never been an NFL football player, but there is that, you hear people talk about locker room talk and stuff, and that was the first thing that went through my head, like, okay, guys, this is a male-dominated thing.
Right.
You're saying things you shouldn't be saying, and there's no excuse to say that, but, you can see how it can get out of hand, that kind of fraternity mentality,
yeah. Yeah, well, I mean, I just think it's going to be interesting because you wonder how it trickles over into women's sports and if they're dealing with it on the daily because this is just something that's going on. So I think it's going to be interesting to see what's going on and how this all transpires going
It'd be
forward.
Interesting to see how one of our Las Vegas Aces feel about it.
I would be interested to hear because, it's still very, even though it's a women's sport, a lot of coaches are male and you wonder what they're hearing. All right, guys, let's switch topics to the Southwest Airline cancellations that had thousands of travelers stranded. The reasoning behind the cancellations were suspicious to people on social media who were quick to show their distrust in the company's excuse. Well, this was the tweet Southwest sent out initially. ATC issues and disruptive weather have resulted in a high volume of cancellations throughout the weekend while we work to recover our operation. We appreciate your patience as we accommodate affected customers, and customer service wait times are longer than usual. The FAA got in on the discussion. Air traffic control real-time status is always available for the public. Look anytime. Go to the source and check it out yourself. Then this. It's funny, no problems at other airlines. If it was weather, it would have affected United and Delta too. So something is going on. And finally, this from the Hill. Southwest CEO says no evidence flight cancellations related to vaccine mandate. This was really interesting, and I thank the Lord I was not traveling on this day because I would have been upset. In fact, a story came out here in Las Vegas about a couple who was going to get married, and their family could not fly in from Chicago. All of their things were canceled. So, was this part of the vaccine mandate that federal contractors have to get vaccines? People were saying, well, it's a part of a call out, sick out,
yeah.
that these employees did to show they did not want to get the vaccine. What are you hearing? Let me start with you, Marlene.
I'm hearing the same thing, but I feel like, why is it even questioned? That feels like it's the most obvious. When have we ever experienced this before, right? Like, why is there I wonder. It's obviously that, right? So why is it being portrayed like there's a different option versus that?
Yeah, I'm not sure why. That is a good question because
public relations. As a public relations guy, I
but
mean,
why? Everyone can see through it. I mean, at least this is what we're thinking.
I obviously don't work for Southwest,
right?
But
full disclosure, none of us work for
full
Southwest.
disclosure, they had like 2,000 canceled flights, and the other airlines did not experience. There were some other cancellations, but nothing to that level. So, 1 + 1 = 2.
Right.
Like there was obviously something else going on, but that tweet where they mentioned weather and air traffic control issues feels like, and I don't know, but it feels like, somebody in the PR department maybe put something out to try to make something go away, and it did not work.
Then it made it worse.
Because then the FAA, as you chimed in, it's like, whoa, not us.
Right.
So,
check it out yourself. I did think that was funny that, the FAA was like, hey, look for yourselves. You can look any time that you want to see if there really are problems. Here's my issue. This rollout, everybody knew, federal contractors, you're going to have to get vaccinated. This is not some sort of surprise. They knew this was coming. So my question is, are we going to start to see this as we go into the holidays? Because I am traveling for the holidays. Listen, and if my flight is delayed or canceled, it is going to be a problem. I do not want to drive with 2 children to Texas and a dog. So
December 8th is the date they have to do it by, as mandated by the Biden administration. And another one is United, who they implemented their own vaccination mandate in August, and actually 96% of their staff were vaccinated. But they also have some employees, I read, that are suing over this as well. And there's a federal judge in Texas that kind of agreed with them at this point. Of course, the Texas governor had says no vax mandates. And Southwest is based out of Dallas.
Right.
So I think there's a lot. We're
Going
going to have to keep our eyes on it. But yeah, it might be a tough holiday.
But you know what? I
season.
could not survive without Southwest because of their deals and their baggage. Marlene, what are your thoughts on this? If you find a company that is not necessarily sticking with, what you love about them, or, they're showing that they aren't as dependable as maybe they were, do you move airlines, or is this one of those situations where I'm stuck with this airline because they're the most affordable?
That's what's tough for me too, because I'm a Southwest person. I think that I don't even know how to answer it. I mean, me today, I would say stick with Southwest, but I'm so terrified to be inconvenienced. There's a lot of planning. We know this.
Right.
So, and the holidays, to your point, are chaotic enough. So that'll be really interesting. But to your point, December 8th, I guess we'll be telling.
Yeah, I mean, especially with kids too.
Right.
Like if it's just me on a business trip, okay, I can figure it out. But man, you got your kids in tow.
Well, yeah, and my thing is that Southwest has come out recently and said we're going to give these vouchers. We're going to give up to $250 in love vouchers, they're calling them. But they don't know if they're going to compensate those who had to get hotel rooms, food, that didn't budget, and that would kill me on a budget as well. So it is really scary, and what I appreciate coming out of the pandemic, we're still in it, but kind of on the other end of it, seeing I really appreciate when a business is transparent.
Yes.
And I feel like Southwest was not transparent in this moment. And so that makes me a little upset with them and a little bit, okay, I've got to take this with a grain of salt. If I'm going to book their flight, there's a chance I'm going to get delayed because they're probably dealing with some stuff that they're not being upfront about. But I also don't run a $1 billion business, so we'll see. All right, guys. Our final topic today affected nearly everyone. For a few hours, a few weeks ago, Facebook, Instagram, and WhatsApp all stopped working and the world went into a panic. First this, how many times did you restart your phone with the Facebook, Instagram, and WhatsApp shut down? Me, 3 times. Keith Edwards tweets, Facebook made a business decision to amplify the worst aspects of human nature in order to make more money. They need to either be heavily regulated or shut down. And then this from Newsmax, breaking, Facebook intentionally hides vital information from the public from the U.S. government. The documents I have provided to Congress prove that Facebook repeatedly misled the public about what its own research reveals. That's from the whistleblower Frances Haugen, her testimony to Congress. So, Marlene, let me start with you. What was this like for you when Facebook, Instagram, and WhatsApp all went down?
So shockingly enough, I was working, so I had no idea. I got all the after memes and all the jokes I saw after, so it didn't really affect me. But what I took from it was how much control, like how much everybody, we're almost like little robots, like that we're depending on this one thing for different reasons.
Right.
It could be business, whatever, but one thing goes down and look how many people were affected by it.
Yes, I restarted my phone a good 3 or 4 times. There may have been a few cuss words in there too, where I was like, what's happening? And then I realized it was just these specific apps. But it was a wake-up call to me, because I said, Melissa, are you addicted? What is happening? I shouldn't be having this kind of reaction to just some apps being shut down for a few minutes. Jason, what were your thoughts? A few hours, I should say, not a few minutes.
It's part of your routine, right? If it's part of your routine, you miss it. I checked once, I saw that it was down, and I was like,
oh,
whatever.
You're so cool, Jace.
I'm not cool, I'm just old, and I don't, if social media went away, other than impacting the show, I'm good with it. Not a thing. But obviously, people rely on it for their business. So, I mean, this impacted, a lot of people, and I find this annoying too, don't have like a website or something with their business on it. They rely on
page.
Facebook. And as an old man, I go type in on the website, it's like, where's this places I want to order online? Because DoorDash, I don't know how any of that stuff works.
Right. Yeah, no, I mean, it's amazing how much we depend on it, and that's where society is going. What do you all think about, this happening a day after the former Facebook employee, testified to Congress? Do you think that this could have been a direct result? Because I find it very coincidental that, they went down right after she testified to Congress about what Facebook was supposedly doing, allegedly doing. Jace?
Well, they said it was a tech issue with their routers. I read up on it. But, I mean, MarketWatch said that the outage cost them tens of millions of dollars. So, I mean, it doesn't feel like a smart strategic thing to do. Like, those companies don't want to cost themselves money. So if, it may just be a timing thing that, it's fun to conspiracy theorize, but usually the simplest answer is the correct one.
And Marlene, what do you think about the woman's testimony? She talked about how Facebook, targets teens and it just really creates this, they knowingly do this division on Instagram and Facebook to kind of keep people divided, keep people coming back for more. Do you see that on your end?
I mean, I feel like there's always the motivation whenever money's involved, period, with anything. That's what I feel.
Right.
And two, I feel like there could be truth to that, because how much does Instagram, TikTok, Facebook cater to what your interest is?
Right.
So if that's possible, how could not, the other be possible?
Right. I will say it's interesting. My mother and I have opposing political views. And we all know about the Facebook, Instagram algorithms and what comes on, what does not. Well, Facebook, and I will say this, my mom and I worked on this for a good 4 or 5 months. Facebook blocked my mom from my feed completely. And even my mom would post a wreath or a picture, and she'd say, "Did you see my picture?" I was like, "I did not." So I would go to her page, and it would not show up for me.
Wow.
And I went in and I favorited my mom to see if that, and it would not come back. And she, she was like, "Oh, it's Facebook. They block people." And I was like, "No, Mom, let's be serious." But over time, I looked and I was like, she might be right. They might be blocking her information from coming into my feed. And it was only after I made it a habit to go to her profile daily that she started popping up for me again. Wow. It was really interesting, and it was an eye-opener because I'm so involved with social media that you don't even realize what's being blocked and what's being led to your stream.
I think some people think, though, they think about that and they're like, oh, there's a person in there, like the Facebook guy, but it's an algorithm,
Right.
So it's like, it's not perfect. It's an AI algorithm, it's just trying to do based on what's, you're liking or whatever.
Right.
So you need to like your mom's stuff more, Melissa.
Well, the stuff in fairness, the stuff she was posting, I was not liking during election season. So, whatever the case may be. Any other thoughts before you go on this topic?
No, I just think that, to your point, it's not some madman behind there, but I do think that it's more in depth to it's just a computer, yeah, but how much is in there and how much is, being controlled?
Do you think it should be controlled or should not be controlled?
I think there's an argument on both sides, right?
Yeah.
Because on one end, I want to see the things that I like, but at the same time, do I want every single thing that I do to be controlled? No. So
I'm hoping it all goes down and we enter into like the Walking Dead post-apocalyptic
Oh my
world,
gosh.
but no
Well, that's an
zombies,
extreme.
no zombies, but no social media. That'd be great.
Yeah, and maybe we should all take a deep breath, and when social media goes down again, check yourself. How addicted am I to this? Not like Jay's, but to like Melissa. There could be a little bit of a problem. So, all right, Marlene, thanks so much for joining us.
thank you.
All right, well, we're going to take a quick break, and when we come back, we're talking health insurance. So many have lost their jobs and their medical insurance, but there is help out there to get you covered. We'll explain next.
Hey, Bobo, do trees tell each other stories?
I'm sorry. I'm afraid I don't know that.
Hey, why don't we go find out? Listen.
Do clouds take naps?
I couldn't tell you.
Dad, do stars visit their friends?
Look!
Welcome back, everyone. You may think that health insurance is unaffordable or just out of reach, but there are options for you. I'm joined by Janelle Davis from the Silver State Health Insurance Exchange with some interesting changes this year. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thanks for having me.
We're in a really weird position because we are in the midst of a pandemic. We had people who are unemployed who are just now finding their way back to work and maybe being able to afford health care.
Yes.
But there are a lot of options out there. I mean, even it feels like the government has done stuff to help people knowing they're in the situation.
That's exactly right. So thanks to the American Rescue Plan Act, people who are maybe new to Nevada Health Link, which is the state's online health insurance marketplace, they could experience very affordable monthly premium costs if they enroll. And those savings will last all the way through plan year 2022. And open enrollment begins on November 1st. So if you're currently uninsured, maybe you don't have health insurance through your employer, you're not 65 and over, accessing Medicare, and you're not on Medicaid benefits, then Nevada Health Link would be a really good option for you. And I think during the pandemic, you're right, a lot of people did lose their jobs and therefore their health insurance, and it became, very expensive. And so that's why the American Rescue Plan came into place and why those subsidies exist. They've increased, they've expanded for Nevadans. And so you may think that it's not affordable for you, but we really encourage anybody who just isn't insured to check it out.
How do you qualify for some of these subsidies? Because, I remember when I was in between jobs, I opened up my own business and had to provide my own health insurance before the Silver State Exchange came into being, and it was astronomical to the point where I would sit there and go, is this worth it? Do I keep paying it?
Right.
Had I had something like a subsidy to help me through that, it would have been a lot easier. But the fear, I think, from people is, how do you qualify? Or are there requirements to qualify for these subsidies?
So there's almost 90% of our enrollees are accessing those subsidies.
Wow.
So it's making their monthly premium costs of health insurance extremely affordable. And I think people are also considering health insurance into their budget. They're prioritizing their health care because we're still in the midst of a pandemic, right? So in order to be eligible, not just for subsidies, but just to enroll on Nevada Health Link in general, you do have to be a U.S. citizen, you have to show proof of residency, and then really what we need from you is just an estimation of your yearly household income. And then if there's also any dependents that you want covered as well. So a lot of people, these are income-based plans, and they're also metal tiers. So you can go to NevadaHealthLink.com, start the shopping experience. It's really just like an anonymously window shopping experience, and you just put it into your shopping cart, just like Amazon.
Okay, everybody knows how to do that.
Everyone knows how to do that, but I will say insurance is extremely confusing, or it can be.
Right.
And so we work with over 600 different insurance brokers throughout the state, as well as certified enrollment assisters known as navigators. And so this is free enrollment assistance for Nevadans to take advantage of. And we really encourage people to use that assistance. They can help you enroll on the platform, take you through all the steps of the application. And again, that's free to you.
And there's a lot of questions when you enroll for a health insurance plan. What's my premium? What's my deductible?
Yes.
What are my co-pays?
Exactly.
What is the hospital copay? Which, with kids, I'm always looking at. What is this hospital copay?
Right.
How many options do people have? How many insurance providers are on this Silver State or Nevada Health Link?
Yeah, so this year we've actually increased our options, which is a really great thing, and kind of creating a healthy market in the state of Nevada. There are 7 different health insurance carriers.
Okay.
There are 6 different dental insurance carriers. We do offer dental as well.
Great.
We partner with VSP to offer vision plans, and the entire state is covered. So that means all the counties are covered. There's no bare counties, and there are 126 different qualified health plans available throughout the state between those 7 insurance carriers.
So if I am looking, I should go online and I have questions. Is there a text app or a chat box, or is there a phone number that I can call to talk to one of those brokers and say, walk me through this?
Yeah, so if you visit NevadaHealthLink.com, you can start the anonymously shopping process, and you can kind of just put in your zip code, that estimation of your household income, and then you kind of explore the plans. Again, we encourage people to do that with an assister, and you can just go to Find Local Assistance on our website. Again, put in your zip code. You can do a radius, and just give them a call. Give those brokers and those navigators a call, and they can help you through the process. We also have a 1-800 number. It's just a call center for consumer assistance. So that's open Monday through Friday, 9 a.m. to 5 p.m.
And depending on when you enroll, depends when your coverage begins. Is that correct?
Yes.
So can you explain that to everybody?
Yeah, so as long as you enroll, so the open enrollment period is November 1st to January 15th. If you enroll by December 31st, your effective coverage date will be January 1st.
Okay.
If you enroll by January 15th of next year, your coverage start date will be February 1st of 2022.
Okay, and open enrollment is always during this time period, so
Yes.
Can you switch plans mid-year, or no, you have to wait till open enrollment the following
So
year?
if you're a new enrollee, that's why we encourage you to shop, and we want you to find the best plan that's designed for your medical needs and your budgetary needs. In-network providers, those sorts of things. If you are a returning customer, we also encourage you to shop during the open enrollment timeframe, because you can switch plans, because there could be a better deal out there, because there's new insurance providers.
What do you want to say to people who are listening to you going, great, sure, but you know what? I'm just going to stay uninsured, and if I have an emergency, I'm just going to go to the hospital. I'm just going to roll the die. What do you say to that?
Yeah, I mean, you can take chances. A lot of people think you're healthy and, it's just too expensive. Insurance is silly, but really during a pandemic, you can't afford not to be covered. And insurance is designed to protect you and your family from financial ruin if a medical disaster emergency, God forbid, were to happen to you. So you have an accident, you go to the hospital. If you're uninsured, it's going to be astronomical prices.
Even with the
compared
sliding
to,
scale.
Correct.
Yeah.
Right.
So where can people go? What is the website? What is the telephone number before we go?
Yeah, so NevadaHealthLink.com. I would encourage you all to visit that website. That's where you can start the process, get all of your information, and then also give us a call, 1-800-547-2927.
All right, Janelle, thank you so much. A wealth of information.
Yes, thank you.
All right, well, that's going to do it for Trending Vegas. Remember, you can always catch us on KCLV.tv. We're also streaming on Amazon Fire, Roku, and Apple TV. Just download our Go Vegas app. Plus, if you never want to miss an episode, subscribe to our newsletter. Just point your camera phone over the QR code on your screen and follow the prompts. Have a great day, everyone. We'll see you next time.